Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good morning to everyone. Alright, how are you today? I hope everyone is fine and ready for our chapter 5. Alright, so as our chapter 5, we're going to learn about industrial sector, which is learn in a way of the activities of the industrial chapter. All right, so we look at the introduction of the chapter 5. Okay, under the secondary sector of the economy, it generally encompasses economic activities that transform the input from the primary sector into goods for final consumption, for example, by the firms, individual, government, and also the foreign entities. As such, from an economic standpoint, the secondary sector is a critical organ of the economy as it is represent its production capacity. This sector creates value and provides job opportunities for the household agent, and the multifaceted role played by this sector support the argument that it is a wealth generating component of the economy. Alright, so however, note that the definition of secondary sector allow for a vast variety of the output to fall in its classification. Thus, discussion are often done in terms of the sub classification of light and heavy industries. Okay, and in this chapter, all of you going to learn and able to discuss the roles and the contribution of the several industrial activities, particularly manufacturing, SMI, and heavy industries to the Malaysian economy. And then you are able to explain the objective and strategies of the various industrial master plan. And the last one is to elaborate the issues and which faced by this industrial sector. All right, so now we look at the introduction of this chapter. All right, so during the colonial period, all right, so this manufacturing sector was not very significant in the Malaysian economy because this industrial in the country was formally initiated after we have Independence Day in 1957, especially in August. All right, so the manufacturing sector actually grew rapidly from the early 1970s to become Malaysian leading contributor towards our gross domestic product in 1984. And since then, the government of Malaysia has implemented various policies and industrial development program in the country. And then next, we're going to look at the phases of the industrial development plan. All right, so in industrial development of Malaysia, we look at the phases of the industrial development where in establishing a basis on which we may study the industrialization process of the Malaysia economy, it will be useful to anchor our discussion on the industrialization policies pursued by the government. Generally, okay, industrialization policies that have been pursued by the government since independence are the import substitution strategy, export orientation industrial strategy, and the heavy industry based import substitution strategy. And each policy is designed to address the challenges and the opportunities in the industrial sector at the time of its implementation. Hence, this policy initiative should be economically justifiable. And to substitute the imported consumer final goods and also with the production of the local goods. In 1958, the Malaysian government offered a tax incentive to domestic firms to pioneer industries in the production of the goods which are previously imported. Okay, such as the tax incentive where it's encouraged the establishment of the new industrial producers, which translated into the higher domestic supply of the certain goods. And this was followed by the tariff and the quotas on imported good in 1960s, which were meant to drive up the selling price of the imported articles. And this double strategy of increasing domestic production and constraining imported induce domestically the produced goods to supplant the imported ones. Hence, the name imported substitution strategy. Among the government incentive pioneer industries with ordinance in 1958, Malaysia Industrial Development Finance Berhad (MIDF), Malaysian Industry Development Authority (MIDA) in 1967, and the Investment Incentive Act in 1968. Alright, now we look at the second strategy of the industrial development of Malaysia, which is under export orientation, which is paused in 1970s. Okay, the government emphasized on aggressive promotion of the export activities, whereas the production processes in many industrial output will be relatively uncompetitive in the global market. And the second point is where the government focusing solely on the domestic consumption while neglecting the foreign market will translate into the lower profitability for the industrial producer, which will then dampen the country gross domestic product. And thus in the 1970s, the Malaysian government embarked on an export-oriented industrialization strategy, and some of the initiative includes the Free Trade Zone in 1971 and the Industrial Coordination Act in 1975. Okay, the third strategy is the heavy industries, paused in 1980s. All right, so in the industrialization strategies adopted in the 1960s and 1970s, managed to modernize the Malaysian economy. In that way, spur the industrial scale production of many consumer and trade goods. However, such resource-intensive industries, for example, automotive, steel, and iron, and also the petrol refinery and petrochemical production were largely dependent on the import. And the establishment of these heavy industries after 1980s broadened the industrial sector. So thus in 1980, the government shifted its industrialization strategy to a second round of the imported substitution, but one that was focused on the heavy industry is the proton. And there was active involvement by the government participation with the setup of the proton and also the Pewajar Steel Sdn Berhad. And this industrial master plan in 1986 until 2010 was formulated to chart the future development of the manufacturing sector. Okay, for the next strategy, we look at the high technology industries in the 1990s. All right, so under this strategy, the action plan for the industrial technology development (APITD) was established in 1990s to outline the industries strategies to encourage the development of the industrial technology. And the area of the emphasis includes developing indigenous technologies, capabilities such as research and also development, and SMI, small and medium industries. And next, we look at the role and the contribution of the industrial sector in Malaysia economy. I will mention to you some of it, okay, which is it's also as the access to the larger market in our country, besides as the transfer of the technology, increase the percentage of the well-skilled workforce, and also to ensure the optimum utilization of the natural resources. All right, now we look at the first Industrial Master Plan, IMPI, duration in 1986 until 1995. And we look at the objective of this Industrial Master Plan first, okay? This objective is actually to accelerate the growth of the manufacturing sector in order to continue rapid expansion of the economy in our country and to provide the basis of meeting of social objective consistent with the National Economic Plan. And the second objective is to promote the opportunities to the maximum and efficient use of the nation abundantly endow the natural resources. And the third objective is to build up the foundation for leapfrogging towards an advanced industrial country by the information age, by increasing indigenous technology capability and competitiveness. And the next slide is to look at the strategies, the 9 strategies under this industrial master plan. Basically, these strategies is to restructure, diversify, to upgrade, and also to encourage the local made product under these industries, and also to widen the industrial activities that less developed region in the Malaysia, and also to the encourage our growth in the small medium enterprise.
So now class, let's take a look at the second Industrial Master Plan IMP2, which was initiated from 1996 to 2005. So in 1996, it was implemented to focus on realizing Malaysia's vision to become an industrialized country and promoting a balanced and internationally competitive economy. So this endeavor requires further effort in encouraging R&D, design capabilities, integrated support industries, distribution and marketing activities. So from here we can look at the slide that the objectives here is to transform the manufacturing sector into a resilient, broad-based and internationally competitive sector. So in the next slide, I'm going to talk about what are the strategies that has been adopted from Industrial Master Plan 2. So in this slide, we are going to discuss about the strategies that have been adopted from the second Industrial Master Plan IMP2 from 1996 to 2005. And one of the strategies is manufacturing value chain, or also known as the manufacturing plus plus strategy. So here class, a key element in IMP2 is the emphasis on pushing Malaysian manufacturers higher up in the value chain of manufacturing. Okay. From here, alongside one of the strategies that has been implemented in the manufacturing plus plus strategy would be moving along the value chain from assembly based on low value added activities towards higher value added activities such as R&D, product designs, distribution, and marketing. And then the next strategy under the manufacturing plus plus strategy would involve shifting the whole value chain to higher level through productivity-driven growth, such as utilization of high technology like automation and robotization, as well as to increase capital intensive manufacturing application of new technology, innovation, and then best management practices are to become a more efficient use of resources. So class, another major element of IMP2 is the development of industrial clusters. Through this approach, IMP2 seeks the development of the manufacturing sector by clustering the firms. So these firms are related in the industries in order to reap the benefits of agglomeration economies. First, firms producing intermediate goods for another firm in a related industry can greatly reduce transport costs, which will ultimately lead to lower prices. Then, firms that require expertise in certain areas of production may subcontract to other firms based in the cluster. So this will foster joint ventures and stimulate innovation in the industry, a phenomenon known as knowledge spillover by economics. Okay, So here, based on the slide, we can see that the cluster-based industrial development they emphasize on development of competitive industry clusters through integration of key industries, suppliers, supporting industries, critical supporting business services, and then requisite infrastructure and institutions. So generating backward and forward linkages, domestic spin-offs, and value added as well as development of domestic SMIs. In the next slide, we are going to talk about the key strategic thrust of the second industrial master plan IMP2. So now let's take a look at the key strategic thrust in the IMP2. So I'm going to briefly explain to you guys what are the strategic thrusts here. The first would be the global orientation. Through this policy element, manufacturers are encouraged to engage in the global economy through all stages of production. The design could be made in the United States. Parts and components could be obtained from Indonesia. The assembly could be done in Malaysia. And finally, the finished or semi-finished goods could be exported to China. So this multinational feature of manufacturing processes along the supply chain is what IMP2 intends to galvanize among Malaysian industrial firms. From this idea, it can actually encourage technology and knowledge transfer, which ultimately enables the manufacturing sector to produce innovative and competitive products. The second key strategic thrust would be to enhance competitiveness. This could be achieved by two strategies. Clustering will enable firms to reap the benefits of agglomeration, and this combination of lower prices and innovative products will place the Malaysian manufacturing output in a competitive stand against other global manufacturers. The third thrust would be improving requisite economic foundation. And then the fourth one would be Malaysian-owned manufacturing companies. So this trust stems from the fact that many manufacturing outputs in Malaysia are produced by foreign-owned firms. So companies such as Western Digital, Toyota, Texas Instruments, and GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, I think most of you have ever heard of this company. They are among the foreign manufacturers with significant presence in Malaysia. And then the last one would be the information intensive and knowledge driven processes. Now that we already discussed about the second industrial master plan IMP2, so now we will move forward to the next master plan that have been initiated in this secondary sector. So the third one would be the third Industrial Master Plan IMP3 that was initiated from 2006 to 2020. This master plan rides on the theme Malaysia towards global competitiveness, which in line with the global manufacturing landscape that was fast developing on multiple fronts. So newly industrialized economies still enjoy the benefits of low production costs, mainly due to low wages. And then developed industrialized nations have the advantage of information and knowledge which enables them to perform high value added manufacturing functions. So here in the third industrial master plan IMP3, the main objective was to drive industrialization to higher level of global competitiveness, emphasizing on transforming and innovating the manufacturing and services sectors in an integrated manner towards attaining developed nation status under Vision 2020. What are the strategies in this IMP3? There are few strategies have been developed under Industrial Master Plan 3, and these strategies been divided into three sections. The first would be the development initiatives that includes enhancing Malaysia's position as a major trading nation, and then generates investment in targeted growth areas. Then next would be the integrating Malaysian companies into regional and global networks. ensuring industrial growth contributes towards equitable distribution and more balanced regional development. Then we move towards the second section, that is to promote and growth areas. So meaning to say, this is the strategies that have been implemented in order to promote growth areas. So these strategies include sustaining manufacturing sectors, contribution to growth, and also positioning the services sector as a major source of growth. And last but not least, to the third section, that is to enhance environment, yeah, enhance the enabling environment, which includes facilitating the development and application of knowledge, intensive technologies, and then developing innovative and creative human capital, as well as to create more competitive business. Now, let's take a look at the next slide. That is the development of small and medium industries, SMIs, in Malaysia. This one I'm going to take, I will discuss just a bit about this point, which is the small and medium enterprises are the backbone of industrial development in Malaysia. So SMEs are defined as enterprises having annual sales turnover not exceeding 25 million or employing full-time employees not exceeding 150 people. Small and Medium Industries Development Corporation, 2009. So here also, SMI in Malaysia are involved in various economic activities, and these include processing and production of raw materials, and assembling and manufacturing electronics, as well as electrical appliances and components. What are the roles of small and medium enterprises? The roles of SME including creating employment opportunities, especially in services sector. And then it also helps to strengthen the industrial linkages. And then it will contribute to development and modernization of manufacturing sector via widening and deepening of industrial base. Last but not least, the roles of SME includes training ground for tomorrow's entrepreneurs. It means that from SME, yeah, from SME, we are actually train the future entrepreneurs to start their business from the small enterprises first before they become a big name in the economy. Now that we have learned about the SMEs, so let's take a look at the objectives of heavy industries in Malaysia. So what are the objectives? The first is to avoid high dependence to foreign technology. So this one, with our own heavy industries, we will be able to avoid too dependence to foreign technology. Meaning to say, especially in producing cars, we have our own knowledge and skills, so we can do it on our own without being too reliable to foreign technology. And then secondly is to diversify and strengthen the export of Malaysian product. Yeah. Another aim of the heavy industries is to increase the ability of the SMIs as well as to create opportunities to train the workers in engineering activity, other related skills. So in that case, our young engineers will not be a waste. Yeah, we can still use their knowledge. We can upgrade them into someone which is very skillful in these heavy industries. And last but not least, the objectives of heavy industries include the implementation of sophisticated technology in domestic production. Now, what is the roles of heavy industries in Malaysia? First, greater utilization of natural resources. And then, with heavy industries, technological capability could be also enhanced. And then we can develop the inter-industry linkage as well as to have employment creation. So with the existence of heavy industries, there will be a lot of skilled workers that needed, yeah, to be in that sector. So heavy industries could create more employment. Now, we have come to the last section in this chapter, that is the challenges in the industrial sector. First would be the large industrial technology gap, and then lack of domestic research and development, high cost operation, as well as narrow manufacturing base. So class, we have now come to the end of the chapter. So I hope you will be able to understand this chapter and able to identify and explain what are the challenges, what are the contributions of secondary sector towards the Malaysian economy. Till then, goodbye.